have only just been recently uncovered.
Some of our biggest discoveries were in the 1970s or 1980s, and so it makes it a really exciting field because it seems as though we're uncovering new insights each and every day.
Some scientists are going further to find out how sleep and what happens there can be harnessed to further expand our understanding.
It's easy to memorize things. That makes you smart if you can spit back a lot of facts. But if you want to be wise, if you really want wisdom, you got to know when and how and why to use that information. And that's what your brain figures out while you're sleeping.
Access the financial world on demand. Hear from leading economists, policymakers, and industry experts via live and on-demand webinars, only from Bloomberg. Start exploring to see what's moving the markets. Visit Bloomberg.com/webinars.
You will put a woman on Mars. You will bring forth global cooling. You will be the first chief crypto officer. Because when you subscribe to Bloomberg, you won't just get news. You'll get insight into limitless possibilities, knowledge, and inspiration to feed your ambition. So before you invent, pioneer, disrupt, before you change the world, Bloomberg.
Innovation, money, and power collide in Silicon Valley and beyond. Bloomberg Technology with Emily Chang. Weekdays at 5 p.m. in New York and 2 p.m. in San Francisco.
There's a song by Giveon. I heard the opening. I liked it. I just took that opening and I pitched it slow, or I think I sped it.
At his desk, when he's not making music, another side project, he's either networking with CEOs or investors he seeks out, or who seek him out, or negotiating new deals.
Hey, Mallory.
Hi, Chase. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm turning on my camera right now.
Yeah, no worries.
This is an average NIL deal. A brand approaches an athlete who can help spread their message to a demographic they believe the athlete can help reach. In this case, DirecTV is looking to market their NFL Sunday Ticket to college students.
It would be 2 posts, 1 post late August and 1 post the first week of September. And the compensation would be $1,200 per post.
Okay.
So it would be $400 total.
Right, perfect. Are they video posts or are they, pick and caption?
They can be either. It's up to you guys.
That was pretty good. 400 above what they had originally asked. So that's a win. So yeah, I mean, at this point, after I do a Zoom or something like that, I either chill out, go back to laying down if I was watching a movie or something, or, go to YouTube to start looking for more samples.
This is presidential Chase.
It's a pretty simple interaction for Chase and for DirecTV, negotiated over a couple of emails and Zoom calls, and papered with a contract Chase will have his dad look over before he signs. And Chase, who's made himself as much of a student of the new NIL marketplace as he has of public policy at UCLA, says he understands why it's working.
A brand ambassadorship with an athlete is more attractive to these brands now as far as return on investment than even a post by a famous actor.
If there's any place to learn that sports are deep in the hearts of Americans, it's on a high school football field in Texas. Friday Night Lights in the Lone Star State might be the gridiron equivalent of Frank Sinatra's New York City. Making it there means you're something special.
Chase Griffin, quarterback, class of 19, Hutto, Texas.
And Chase didn't just make it, he excelled.
Let's talk about some of the top quarterbacks in the state. And when you look at that list at the top of it, you got to talk about Chase Griffin.
I was lucky to play 3 years as a quarterback for Hutto High School, which is a one-horse town. We had great success. And so the town really shut down and came out and supported us every Friday night.
Chase runs straight back. DJ and he is wide open if he can catch it. Nice. He does. Touchdown, Hippos.
Chase, one word to describe that finish to that game.
God, that's it.
Coming from a town like that where football is so prioritized, it has its pros and cons, but I think on the pro side, I learned how to win, how to get better, and most importantly, what it's like to build a team where everyone gets better.
Emulating his UCLA alumni like Robinson, Joyner Kersey, and Abdul-Jabbar, Chase is looking at the impact NIL will have not just for him, but the athletes that will follow.
When the predecessors who have come before you have changed the world and made life better for everyone today, you can't help but ask yourself how the actions that you're taking now and the companies and brands in the NIL space that you work with are all cumulatively building something greater than any of us could foresee. I've never moderated, so this will be my first time. Should be fun. I know my handwriting's terrible.
The last day of the conference, Chase was asked to co-moderate a panel with Monique Nelson, the CEO for Uniworld Group.
All right, I'm excited to be here.
Uniworld Group is one of the longest-standing multicultural advertising and marketing agencies in the United States. The firm works with brands like Ford, Home Depot, and Johnson & Johnson to help reach the Black and brown communities. And they have big ambitions in NIL.
For Uniworld Group, the idea of this was pretty epic in that because we serve the undervalued, the overlooked, and the underserved, we knew that this particular group of people would fall into that category. And we plan on being the premier practice for NIL athletes that are looking to do purpose-driven media, advertising, community-level engagement work.
UWG launched a program called The Nile to help Black student athletes partner with major brands. But to help them understand how to do that, they brought on Chase to serve as a student athlete executive in residence.
For me, I do nothing without tremendous amounts of data for all of our clients. I really wanted to be thoughtful about this practice being very athlete-centric. If I were to build it or anyone on my team were to build it, it would not have the athlete at the core.
When you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, the best way to have credibility is confidence. And the only way for confidence is to be authentic. I'm actually learning on the job. I'm learning about the brand side of NIL, but I'm also trying to make sure that empowerment and equity is built in, especially for Black student athletes in the NIL world. ROI, return on investment.
Both Chase and UWG see NIL deals as something much more than making money for students. It's also a potential investment in a community long overlooked.
I think we're getting ready to stock boxes, trying to feed the people of LA.
A piece of each of Chase's NIL deals go to his Believe brand campaign, which has raised more than $13,000 for meals for the LA Food Bank backpack program. But athletes giving back is only one side.
I'm here with LegalZoom to give you 5 tips on the NIL game plan.
UWG and Chase believe having brands investing in the athletes, especially athletes of color, can be a force multiplier for these historically marginalized communities.
When you look at the revenue generating sports, football and basketball, 88% of those athletes are Black. So when you're doing stuff to empower student athletes in the NIL space, you're also helping to deliver on your promise. Now, student athletes are not the only ones who should receive this help by any means. But statistically, by doing that, you're going to be delivering on your mission. Additionally, student athletes on average come from lower levels of income. So you're also delivering on that promise. And a lot of these student athletes are first generation. They're first gen college students. Some of them first gen high school diploma. Some of them first time receiving the amount of money that they receive in their families.
This has been a wild first year in NIL. We all knew that there would be bags of cash around, right? There's always been bags of cash. There's cash everywhere. What we know is that that's not sustainable. We know that athletics has an expiration date on it. So for us, inclusion ultimately means this is just a part of you. It is a tremendous part of you, and we are going to celebrate that part of you, but we also know that you're bigger than that. So we want to empower you to live past your expiration date for this part of your life, and quite honestly, have equity in everything that you have poured yourself into as an NIL athlete.
It may still be the Wild West days for the NIL industry, but in the first year, about $1 billion in business was done with NCAA athletes. For the early leaders in the NIL space like Chase, they're striking a precedent for athletes that follow them. And that's important because collegiate athletes don't have that much time to profit. Only an estimated 2% of NCAA athletes go on to the pros. Even the hardest working are often limited by things they can't control. For Chase, it's been his height.
I'm 5'10" now. In high school, after my sophomore year when I threw for 3,000 yards, I was probably like 5'6", 5'5". I mean, I could arguably say I'm one of the best in the history of Texas high school football. But, you know, I've gone through the height test where they'll call you out of class, shake your hand, look at you up and down, and be like, nice to meet you, you go back to class.
It's a sad but timeless story for student athletes. And for Chase, his story is something he's not shied away from, but embraced when it comes to his NIL deals.
I'm frequently the smallest person on the football field, but I always strive to be the most impactful.
My middle school coach told me that I would never play in high school.
Chase's deals with Degrees Breaking Limits team and Clear Covers Inspired Underdogs allowed him to capitalize financially from football, even though last season he never saw the field for UCLA.
I play football because I love the game. I play the football because I'm a good competitor. I love to compete. And I play football because I'm good at it. At the end of the day, I don't play football for my livelihood, which is important to remember when it comes down to identity. I'm myself, Chase Griffin. As long as I'm that, I got something in this world.
As he moves into the new season and focuses more on football than business, Chase doesn't see much of a differentiation between the two in terms of his mindset.
I wouldn't be surprised if I wasn't playing football in 5 years and was running a Fortune 500 company, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I was winning a Super Bowl 5-10 years from now. And either way, I'm gonna keep on working at the tools that would align myself and my future with both. And at the end of the day, you're always gonna have yourself. If you can make profit off of yourself and know where you add value, in any world you're in, you'll be able to adapt and find ways to generate wealth for yourself.
Part of what I love about business is you get to build things from nothing.
I don't have any investors. All this is all money in. This is me just building it.
It's pretty much full service shadow banking with nobody in charge.
most fascinating entrepreneurs because you also started really young. What did you learn? Did you always think that you'd be an entrepreneur?
Probably, yes. I think, which is a bit sad,
From
isn't it?
age, what, 5,
Well,
6?
maybe, I'm not sure. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so even though I probably couldn't spell the word and still can't occasionally, it's sort of in my blood. But it's really fun starting a business. And fun growing a business. I feel it's a real privilege. And I started my business officially at 18, but I think I knew I wanted to do it very differently from about 15. But I'm sure it's, if you're surrounded by it, it feels very natural. So yes, it's fun.
And it started how? You started by you went to Florence. It was in Italy, and you started handbags.
Yeah, so I knew I was actually given a handbag by my mother when I was about 16, one of her old handbags, and I remember how it made me feel, and I think fashion is fascinating for the mood-changing, the confidence-boosting aspects, so the sort of tribal aspects of what fashion does. And so I went at 18 to Florence, knowing that was the home of leather goods, which is what interested me. I just wanted to learn, actually, and be surrounded by craftsmen who, making things is important, and that's going to be very interesting, I think, over the next sort of 10 years. I think the onshoring of craft and manufacturing is going to be fascinating, actually. I watched the offshoring, I literally saw it, and I think we're going to be seeing that coming back to local. We have to. When we're all looking at our objectives in terms of carbon, proximity is going to be key.
I think that it's hard to put your head around any narrative. Let's just be honest. We've had sort of a shift in, are we in some sort of stagflation fears moment? People were talking about that all day yesterday.
Strong enough to stay. We will never break. As the water rises and the mountains shake, our love will remain. We will never, no, never. We will never, no.
Today is the most significant day in the history of the NCAA.
The last day on planet Earth in the United States of America in college athletics where name, image, and likeness laws will not be on the books and kids will be not allowed to make money off of their name, image, and likeness.
Today's the last day that amateurism has at least a shadow meaning in our culture.
Major ruling from the Supreme Court involving
the most seismic change in college sports happened in 2021, and its aftershocks are still ricocheting across the landscape. Non-pro athletes getting paid for use of their name, image, and likeness, until last year banned by the NCAA, is now allowed, and it's changing the face of sports and business radically. According to Open Endorse, brands spent almost $1 billion in the first year of the new rules, and that number is only going to grow. But some of the biggest winners, they may surprise you. Top female athletes are cashing in, and women's basketball players are standing center stage.
Your heels, you want your heels to go down.
He took a pre-ride poop. NIL really is pretty surreal. I don't think I've really wrapped my head around the concept that I am making money, just doing the thing that I love.
Starting her sophomore year, AZ Fudd's already signed deals with Chipotle, American Eagle, and others, earning tens of thousands of dollars, leveraging her on-court prowess and off-court social media following. She's also getting massive investment from the pro game as well, becoming one of the first athletes to sign with Steph Curry's SC30 Inc. The two even designed a shoe together. one Steph Curry would wear during his 2021 NBA Finals